Hello, my bones. More reactions with YouTube. SilverDFanng. That's words. Sorry, it's late and warm. So this is actually off stream. I didn't have enough time to react to stuff on stream, so I took a couple of people from my Discord and we watched some videos. This is the first one. Saga, a comic book masterpiece by Yuhoo Comic Review. We've done Yuhoo before. I really liked his review style back then, so I wanted to do more. And Saga is one of the best comics ever made, and you'll hear me gush. Have fun. Dude is cool, and he's talking about a comic series called Saga. If you don't, do you know anything about Saga?
No, but it sounds familiar.
Saga is probably one of the best comics ever made, and no one talks about it because it's not DC or Marvel.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I like that kind of stuff. Hey, man.
Hi.
Hey, bud. We're reacting to videos for YouTube.
Ooh.
Want to come in and watch some videos with me?
Like, I'm gonna play.
Yeah, I'm bored.
Yeah, okay. Just gonna start this one. This one is Saga, a comic book masterpiece by Yuhoo. Also, now Nah, I'm good with you two being tiny. Okay, we're gonna start.
Of the best comics of all time. An Image comic you'll often see appearing on various lists is Brian K.
Including
Vaughan's
mine.
and Fiona Staples' Saga. First released in March of 2012, Saga is currently 72 issues long, with more issues expected down the pipeline. As of recording this video, Saga has been ongoing for 14 years, and yet somehow, in my years of reading comics, I never checked it out, up until recently. This past month, I read all 72 issues of Saga, and I'm here to answer one simple question. Does Saga live up to the hype? Well,
yes, it does. It is one of the best ongoing comic book stories I have ever read. It is super well done.
Never heard of it.
Scott Pilgrim's better, by the way.
Well, listen to a little bit of what he's about to say, and then say that, because if you like Scott Pilgrim, I think you really are going to like Saga.
Join me in this video as we take
I have
spoiler-free
all
deep
the
dive
Scott Pilgrim
into one of the
books.
most
I've read
critically
each
acclaimed
one a good, like 5 times. So, yeah, I like Scott Pilgrim.
Okay, then Saga, on it, like no joke, feels like Scott Pilgrim for adults.
Series of the 21st century, as we explore why Saga
I'm a big fan of Scott Pilgrim.
Okay, then you might not be into Saga.
But before we take a look at the book, let's first talk about the creative team.
I like Scott Pilgrim a lot.
In 1996, New York University undergraduate
NYU.
film student Brian K. Vaughan enrolled in a
Mr.
workshop
Baldy.
known as the Stan Hatton Project. The Stan Hatton Project was a university course made in collaboration with Marvel Comics and the New York University. The goal was simple. It aimed to...
I might have read something.
What did you read?
Saga. I might have read Saga.
Saga.
If that's true.
I love the way you say Saga, because it sounds like you're in between Sega and Saga. It's Saga. Saga. I love it.
Saga.
I mean, again, if you're in, well, it's just the Texan accent.
Is it?
Yes.
I got the accent.
It's how you pronounce your A's.
Saga? Saga?
Saga.
Provide students with real-life comic writing experience. When Vaughn attended this course, he submitted various works, and director of the Stan Hatton Project and Marvel editor James Felder liked Vaughn's work, and so he gave Vaughn the opportunity to write a Marvel comic. That is how a college-aged Brian K. Vaughan would receive his first ever writing credit as a published comic author with Cable issue 43. As Vaughn's career continued into the late 90s and year 2000, his resume grew, with Vaughn writing various comics for both Marvel and DC.
Are they going to bring it up?
Included titles like X-Men, Wolverine, Captain America, Batman, and Green Lantern,
Are you
just
gonna
to
bring
name
it
a
up?
few. By the year 2001, Vaughn had a healthy number of author credits under his belt, but according to him, he felt like his career was coming to a close. Desperate to make something work and inspired by a bad breakup, Vaughn pitched an idea he had for a comic to DC's Vertigo department. His comic was removed from the world world of superheroes, as Vaughn preferred to write stories about his own machinations. This pitch followed a male protagonist and his sidekick Monkey, as this character would navigate a world.
Y the Last Man is seen as one of the best.
Definitely didn't read. I read that one.
If you talk to any literary or comic book person, Y is seen as one of the best written ever. And for anyone that doesn't know, if you're an anime fan, you might have heard this before. Disease killed all the men except for one who is immune to, well, two, because the monkey is also male. Like every animal, every living creature, the Y chromosome died. So it's a dystopian world of women, except for one last man and one monkey.
Monkey.
Sure, you're not explaining something else besides this.
That's what I'm saying. If you watch anime, there was a hentai a couple years ago. This one is less sexy. This one is a lot more dystopian.
Couple of them, actually. Well, there are actually a couple of them.
Oh, that's fair.
There's been a few. I think there was like live action one that it wasn't like explicit. It was just like a movie with that theme.
Oh.
Seemed interesting. I don't know. I mean, those kind of movies aren't really my thing. I don't really like live action all that much. Like, I mean, I like live action, but usually I've only found like the only live action movies I've ever liked are horror films.
That's fair.
Horror.
I will say that they wanted to do a movie of Y the Last Man. They made a short trailer. It was amazing. Never went anywhere.
That might have been what I saw. I'm not sure.
Very possible. It was like 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't remember what this book is about.
I told you.
I didn't read it since... Last time I read this was middle school.
Honestly, that base. Yeah, I told you. It's literally about politics and gender identity, and it's a dystopian survival.
I remember the Batman comics more.
I don't know the connection, but okay.
And which he was the last remaining male species.
It was in the
on
Batman
planet.
section where I found this book.
Self-admittedly ridiculous.
Okay, the comic book section.
The idea was greenlit.
Oh, okay. I understand your weird
next to a Batman comic.
Your weird terminology. Yes, I understand now. Yes. This was
understand.
Yes.
And thus, Y the Last Man was born.
That's
Y the
Marvel,
Last Man was a commercial and critical success. Issue number 1 sold out upon its release in September of 2002. And Y the Last Man became incredibly popular. So much so that David Lindelof, producer and writer of the hit TV show
Is that
Lost,
TDM?
invited Vaughn on to write for the show.
It looks like
because Lindelof was
They literally said his name's David Lindelof.
Fan of Vaughn's comics. By 2010, Vaughn was a established writer. Successful series under his belt, and he was a screenwriter for one of the biggest shows in television history. But Y the Last Man had ended, the Lost TV show had concluded, and his other comic series, Ex Machina, was wrapping up. At the same time, Vaughn had become a father, and it was this newfound sense
Okay, so they're not going to talk about it, which is a disappointment. So while he was doing Y the Last Man and Ex Machina, he also created the Runaways in Marvel.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah,
series.
Well, yeah, the team. He created the series, but he also created the team.
I like the Runaways comics.
Oh, it was so good.
One of my favorite pastimes.
No, I agree. The Runaways, the original run was amazing. When he came back like a decade later, it was also very good. I haven't watched the show, but I heard people liked the show.
I liked the show too. It was pretty good.
But yeah, no.
I'm sad they canceled it.
I never really got into the Marvel comics. Really, the only Marvel comics I got into were the I think it was the Teen Avengers. I think that's what it was called. It was like Miss Marvel, few others, and Gwenpool.
Oh, I actually don't know what that is. It might be in the Champions.
I like the Batman comics the most.
Batman is good. But yeah,
I got into those and like all the Gwenpool comics. I love Gwenpool. She's a good character. I love her.
Gwenpool's a lot of fun.
I read any Gwenpools.
It is comedy like Deadpool, but it has a really good heart to it. I do recommend the Gwenpool stuff. I also recommend. I also recommend The Runaways. The Runaways is very teen angst, but really well done.
I read The Runaways. I watched The Runaways, for crying out loud.
So Brian K. Vaughan made The Runaways at the same time he was doing Y the Last Man and Ex Machina.
And I missed the show. It shouldn't get canceled like that. It was done dirty.
It was very done dirty. It was at a weird time
I think it pissed
for Marvel
off politicians,
TV.
That's why, or something like that.
No, it was honestly just the ratings were really bad. They put it at a really weird time in a day. It was.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Paternalistic
I watched it like
that
TV.
inspired Vaughan to create the now iconic series known as Saga. According to Vaughan, Saga
It's
was
kind of
an
like
idea
Tron,
he had
but they
bouncing
did
around
Tron
in his head
Uprising
for decades. As a kid, Vaughan was in love
Placed
with
in the
sci-fi
poor area.
adventure stories like Star Wars, Flash Gordon, and The Silver Surfer. When Vaughan was
And
just
Tron's
a little
underrated.
boy who was bored in math class, he conceptualized Saga with those influences in mind. For decades, Vaughan had this idea floating around in his head, but
So
he didn't
pretty.
have the follow-through to put it to pen and paper. Up until 2010, when Vaughan was a grown man and, more importantly, a father. That's when it dawned on him. The expansive, epic space opera within his mind didn't need to be told from the point of view of a grandiose protagonist. Rather, it could be told from a more relatable perspective. That is, the perspective of two young parents navigating life trapped in the middle of a uncontrollable conflict. Saga isn't a story about defeating bad guys and saving the day. Saga is a story about surviving, and it's about the moral ambiguity that comes with surviving. Nobody is perfect. We all make mistakes. What you view as pure evil, another person might view as morally righteous. But as with every comic, a writer is only part of the process. In order to bring his ambitious world to life, Vaughan would need an artist who had the ability to capture the expansive set.
He's probably going to go off on Fiona Staples' art, which is fucking amazing. Saga's great, but I also shout out to her work on Archie. She was doing,
I don't know.
She was doing
many
Archie
artist names.
Well, then, yeah, she did Archie comics in the mid 2010s, and the new art style is really nice.
Actually, it's pretty good.
And also, you not knowing artist names is your fault. Learn some artists.
I try to say cool.
I don't remember the comic book people names.
Well,
he makes the comics.
Well, that's a problem.
Pieces within his world. Enter Fiona Staples. Prior to meeting Vaughan and working on Saga, Fiona Staples was an artist who had an impressive resume of mostly niche published works. Her first ever published comic was titled Amphibious Nightmare. It was released in 2005 as part of a 24-hour comic anthology series.
I read that.
Years after that, Staples would contribute comic covers for titles like Jonah Hex and Red Sonja.
I read that too.
Well, guess what? You should have. You could have seen a lot more and figure out the connection if you knew the artist's name. But to be honest, I will admit I also was reading Jonah Hex and I didn't recognize her art. So.
Also penciling titles like The Secret History of the Authority, and all the while she was simultaneously providing the line art and colors for other comics as well. Vaughan met Staples through a mutual friend. They got along, brainstormed some ideas together, and when Vaughan saw the incredible artwork Staples was able to produce, Vaughan immediately understood Saga was going to work. And when you read Saga, you get that feeling as well. Staples' artwork is truly unique. When you look at her art, you can't help but feel that Staples is a 21st century artist who utilizes digital tools to produce her pencils, inks, and colors.
The best way I can describe it is the perfect blend of watercolor pastel paintings and superhero comics. It hits that right on the edge, and it has this very euphoric kind of visual style, which I really appreciate.
in a way that stands out when compared to traditional comic book art. And you know what? The critics noticed that as well, as Staples would win dozens of awards that celebrated her contributions to Saga,
deservingly.
Including Eisner Awards for Best Penciler and Best Cover Artist, a Harvey Award for Best Colorist,
I love that statue.
Ringo Award for Best Artist and Penciler, and that's just a few of them. She's won several different accolades. The creative team behind Saga is a absolute powerhouse. But what is Saga, and what makes Saga so good? Just as a heads up, I'm gonna try to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible.
That was a bad audio choice, Yuhoo. But
I thought that was the ending.
No,
that's playing with my mind.
Yeah, that's just bad editing. Sorry, Yuhoo. Still appreciate you.
Cover some basic character traits and world-building concepts, but I promise you, so many crazy things happen in Saga, my limited analysis won't begin to touch the surface when it comes to the epic ride you have ahead of you. And if at any time you haven't read Saga and you feel like purchasing Saga, you can pick up all the deluxe editions over at the channel sponsor, panelboundcomics.com, and you can use my code Yuhoo on checkout to save even more money.
I recommend them.
The first thing that resonated me when it came to Saga was the world. The first few pages of Saga punches you in the face with how graphic it is.
No kidding. I believe this actually is the second page of issue 1. Her giving birth.
You lay witness to a woman giving birth.
I'm
There's
pretty sure
partial
you're right,
nudity, there's swearing, there's violence, and plenty more. It's immediately made clear from page 1 that Saga is a book made for an adult audience. What's great about that is that the swearing never feels forced. The violence doesn't seem over the top, and the nudity and sexual themes in the book look and feel natural. They're not overblown.
Yeah, you shouldn't have been able to read this at that time. But whatever.
So, based on first impressions, the world of Saga is adult.
I don't know if you should have been reading Deadpool in middle school either, depending on the writer. But, yeah, Saga is very much a gritty soap opera, space soap opera. It does not hold anything back. Characters will die. There will be nudity. There is a lot of sex.
I'm back.
Guess what?
Welcome back.
So, have you ever heard of a series called Amulet?
Yes.
Oh, I tried to get into that. It was pretty good.
It's good.
Yep.
I tried to get into it. I found it pretty enjoyable. I read like the first few comics, but I never really got fully into it.
Somebody remember Bones?
Really my thing.
This is definitely not Amulet or Bones. It has a little bit of the comedic style, but this is grittier. It is a lot more adult. It is a lot more brutal.
In the library, honestly.
No, your school fucked up. They saw comic and thought all comics were for kids.
And guess what? They bought mainly Batman comics that should have been
Vaughn and Staples pull no punches, and a big reason for that is because of the publisher Image Comics. Vaughn and Staples have been very clear about the fact that the creator-owned nature of Image Comics' distribution deal makes it so that their book is fully owned by them, and no editor can force them to make a decision that they don't want to make. If you work for a company like Marvel or DC, there's a high probability that you'll have an editor who tells you what to do.
Correct.
Vaughn and Staples answer to no one. They create the story they want to tell 100% of the time with no censorship. That's why Saga opens in such a flavorful way, and that's also why the world of Saga feels authentic. While the shockingly sharp synchronicities of the characters immediately grabbed my attention, the ideas that stuck with me were the ones about the enormous scope of this sci-fi universe. If you know me, I adore...
It reminds you of what?
Graphic novels more than comics, like Amulet and Bones.
Okay, so I'm gonna...
Regarding art style-wise.
So, lesson time, as someone who has taken a course in comics and graphic novels, they're the same thing.
I know, it's just like they got different feelings to each other, mainly.
What you mean when you say comics is you mean the Marvel and DC aesthetic of the monthly comic. But the truth of the matter is, a graphic novel and a comic book are the same thing.
I miss the Godzilla comics. I'm sad about that being no longer sold.
The only difference between a comic series and a graphic novel is a graphic novel is like a novel. is a story. No, is a story that starts that has a beginning, middle, and end. There can be more books in the series, but each book ends with a good conclusion, where a comic series will always like keep going. That's the only difference.
Yeah, true.
I took a college course on this.
Yeah, true. Fair.
Or world building. When you read Saga, the world feels like it existed long before that issue, and it feels like it will continue to exist long after you put the issue down. It's very rare to read a comic where the sci-fi backdrop instantly feels this multi-layered. For a very brief background, Saga takes place in a galaxy where two planets are at war with each other. One is a technologically advanced planet called Landfall. It is the largest planet in the galaxy, and it's inhabited by winged humanoid folks. Landfall is locked in a decades-long war against its moon Wreath, a planet inhabited by horned, magic-wielding humanoids. Alana is a soldier from Landfall who fell in love with Marco, a prisoner of war from Wreath.
To dumb it down for anyone watching, and probably Octavia.
No.
Magic horned people on the moon don't have issues with the technological winged people of the planet. They've been in war for decades and centuries. Horn dude and wing lady fall in love and become runaways because their love is illegal, and they create something that the galaxy finds
repulsive,
but also something that could we will find out that the war keep going is very political and also very financial for a lot of other planets and empires. And seeing and
they're trying to kill the child to hide and prevent peace.
The truth.
I'm pretty sure.
The truth that, hey, these two people can make life, they are compatible, they're not that different.
It's bad for business.
From their allegiances and choose to let love guide them through the galaxy. The book opens by showing us the birth of their child Hazel, who has a unique combination of both
very adorable, very
Hazel
adorable.
Is a radical act of love, and with that, her mere existence is an act of resistance. Landfall and Wreath are in an endless battle of bloodshed, violence, and hatred. The conflict between these two planets has disrupted the entire galaxy, so much so that Wreath and Landfall export conflicts to other planets, looping in various populations from across the globe into a cycle of loss and agony. The fact that a woman from
it's like our world and the war industry. That's the best I could describe it.
Landfall and a man from Wreath are able to look past culturally ingrained biases and see the humanity in each other.
I know this book what got me into Runaways.
Concerning to diplomatic leaders.
Honestly,
both Wreath and Landfall.
I can see that.
And territory win battles.
It's my gateway into Runaways.
Wars. And Hazel's
it's a good gateway.
Is a testimony to how propaganda is failing on both sides. You can't have a love child.
Most of the time, I didn't know it was a comic. I thought it was a graphic novel.
Joint spirit of two mortal enemies. And so that is the struggle Alana, Marco, and Hazel.
So I will say, because Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan does work on a lot of other stuff, and because Image doesn't force like scheduling like the big companies do, they have taken like a 1 year hiatus here and there. But for the most part, they do the monthly thing.
Faced throughout the series. They have to keep their heads down, hide their existence, and stay out of trouble. All the while, Landfall and Wreath governments hire bounty hunters to erase their family's existence. There's so many beautiful themes embedded into the elevator pitch of the series. First and foremost, Vaughn chooses to showcase the destructive nature of intergalactic conflict through the lens of bystanders rather than soldiers. The fog of war makes combatants and loyal citizens overlook the abhorrent methods governments pursue in order to achieve victory. Our protagonists aren't trying to end the war by mowing down hordes of soldiers. Instead, they're trying to just live. But even then, survival, especially during times of war, is hard.
Yeah, this is not a hero story. This isn't, people trying to save worlds of people. It's just a married couple that wants to live.
Yeah.
Anna and
honestly, I was curious what's going to happen
that
next.
Aren't perfect.
Every time I read this,
they straddle a morally gray line.
It really is a sci-fi soap opera. It very much is just a connection of different characters, like he says. The family is not the only people we see. We also see a royal TV family. We see the writer of their favorite novels. We see these two gay reporters.
I don't remember that.
Well, read more.
Putting others in harm's way to fuel their own.
We see a seal.
If you show me the image of them, I might remember.
They might come up.
Survival. It's a nasty business, but a potent reminder that life isn't perfect. We're the heroes of our own story, but we might as well be the villains in someone else's mind. Real quick, if you're enjoying the video, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. It goes a long way when it comes to helping out the channel and is much appreciated.
We're done?
Anyways, I love how Vaughn isn't afraid to showcase the ambiguity of conflict and survival. In Saga, morality is relative. And that premise reminds me how shallow a lot of mainstream comic titles can be.
Brutal.
In Marvel and DC comics, superheroes traditionally fight bad guys who are unequivocally evil. But in Saga, even a bounty hunter who brutally murders people for money has a glimmer of relatability. Vaughn has a knack for humanizing even the most vile people by contextualizing their existence.
By the way, Octavia, you might like this. Yeah, it's a love-hate relationship. It really goes back and forth. So this cat is called the lying cat, and literally it can tell when anyone is lying, and all he says is lying. And it's like it's the most comedic thing because it's even like the dumbest things. It's like I meant to call you back, and he's like lying.
I love that cat. Yeah,
the cat's awesome.
I like this. Hairless cat.
Understanding that quote unquote bad guys are driven by
love,
family,
cats. I don't know why people don't like them.
Forces you to
because they look
characters.
They look weird and ugly, and that's kind of the point, though. That they're supposed to look.
Yeah, I heard they're hard to take care of, though.
Oh yeah,
I could imagine
a lot of health issues because we bred that. They weren't made that way. It was a style choice.
Yeah. I mean,
the same person who made dog fights made it. I'm pretty sure.
No, no.
I think so.
Why would they make a skinless cat for dog fighting?
The same guy who made dog fights and bred dogs made breeds of cats. I'm pretty sure.
Also, dog fighting's been around since ancient Rome.
I'm talking about modern days, like the mines in America.
I don't know if you ever.
British.
I don't know what you think modern dogfighting is. The mines?
I don't know.
I think Blue, I love you. I think you're talking out your ass.
I might be.
Political
I'm tired.
So good.
Emphasis on subtle. Our protagonists have the ability to hop planets.
Yeah, that is you're doing great.
Different civilizations during times of war. This allows Vaughn and Staples to create unique and pluralistic societies. The massive sci-fi backdrop of Saga feels like it's defined by social-political viewpoints just as much as it's defined by aliens, futuristic technology.
This is why I read Batman so much.
Classism, homophobia,
classism, homophobia, transphobia, abortion, sex work.
Addiction,
okay, there's a lot. They talk a lot.
And so many other topics are covered in this story.
It gets
but it makes
deep.
sense. There are a variety of different characters, so it feels logical.
Also, drug addiction.
Different characters should engage with these themes differently, especially because they are uniquely influenced by the socio-political systems that raised them. For example, a character named Prince Robot, who's been raised in royalty and experienced combat, will suffer from severe PTSD, the same way a little girl who's sold into brutal servitude in a brothel will also experience PTSD. Both of these characters suffer from PTSD.
She becomes one of the most sympathetic characters of the book, by the way. you think that she might be a one-off, and she becomes like one of the anchors of the book for like six books, 6 volumes.
Yeah. Yes, the reasons for their trauma is really different, but at the end of the day, they share a humanistic drive when it comes to how to deal with their emotions. What I'm trying to say is that Prince Robot grew up in a aristocratic environment. His entire life has been about subscribing to bureaucracy and following rules in order to be the perfect prince. But once he experiences combat, it sends a shockwave through his system. The hierarchy of administrative power holds no weight in a battlefield. Instead, combat is about one thing: surviving. The cutthroat mentality this forces onto Prince Robot changes him, but it also heightens his relationship with sex. My psychoanalytical take is that Prince Robot constantly fetishizes the world around him and desperately wants to lose himself in primitive pleasures because it rewires the part of his brain that believes in hierarchy of power. When fighting in war, Prince Robot killed people and saw his fellow brother in arms die brutally. War is primal, and when in that primal state, the order of operations loses its meaning. It's no longer about bureaucratic structures. It's about killing people in order to survive till the next day. A person's animalistic instincts boils down to 3 main things: survival, nourishment, and reproduction. I believe that when Prince Robot engages in these wild sexual fantasies...
By the way, yes, we see the Robot Man fuck a lot, and yes, how his species works is they do talk normally, but they also show their thoughts on their heads. So we do see a lot of sex scenes, not only him doing it, but what's also in his head, which is kind of cool.
He's tapping into the id, the same id that helped him survive on the battlefield. But at the same time, he's reclaiming himself from this horror by finding control and pleasure. Sex and survival are both major instincts that drive the id. Prince Robot survived the war and lost his sense of control and autonomy. Therefore, he reclaims that control and autonomy by having wild and freaky fantasies in which he has full control on the outcome of that fantasy. And in a twisted way, he's restoring his egoistic need to rationalize the importance of power structures by acting subservient or dominant in the bedroom. Because in the bedroom, he's driven by the id, the same id that was present during war, but this time in the...
Okay, I want to talk about her. So, I can't remember her name. We meet her in a all-female prison, and we find out that in this world, some of the horn people are born, what's the word? When you have both genitalia.
I swear, unisex. I don't know. I mean, that'd be one word, but I don't think that's the word.
Well, yeah, what? We'll go with that. The point is, so they actually get into a romantic relationship, and like her and the robot, and it talks a lot about like, even though she was born this way, it does become like a character of trans like identity, and also like talks about, you know, how people think that they want her, and then when they finally have her, they're satisfied and they're gone. It's fetishizing, and it's very interesting. She's a very fascinating character.
Interesting.
The bedroom, he has control and he feels good. On the flip side of that, Sophie is a 6-year-old girl who works in a brothel as a slave. It's a twisted and dark reality that no one deserves to experience. Yeah, but Sophie lives that life. Unlike Prince Robot, there's no reclamation of power in her services. Similar to Prince Robot, when Sophie engages in work, the drive of the id traumatizes her. Sophie is eventually freed from this captivity and ends up assisting a bounty hunter as she traverses the galaxy as a young and free woman. And while she lays witness and engages with a countless number of violent acts, the violence doesn't traumatize her. It reminds her of her freedom. These two characters majorly juxtapose each other, but neither of their perspectives feel incorrect. Rather, their decisions and motivations are uniquely guided by the powers that govern and shape their lives. And if you read Saga and watch this video, you might disagree with my interpretation of both of these characters.
No, I agree.
Okay. That's why Saga is fantastic. Vaughn is able to distill so much nuance into this world without ever making it feel like it's in your face. And the fact that we can walk away from this book with different interpretations of characters is a testament to Vaughn as a writer. Like I mentioned earlier, every single one of these characters...
No, I fully recommend it. Also, like, the fact that he focused on two side characters, like, here's the truth. The Prince Robot and Sophie are important. There's another 10 characters that are on their level of importance and could have also been a deep dive. So I agree with him what he says about Sophie and Prince Robot. The funny thing is, I could do a essay deep dive on another 9 characters. Heck, I did do a little deep dive on the trans horn woman. There's so many great in-depth side characters. Yes, Marco, which is the horn man, and oh my god, I always mess up her name. It's like Atelier or Atler or something. The winged woman, the mom, they are amazing. Hazel's amazing, which is the little daughter. But the side characters is what really makes it.
Characters is humanized, their struggles feel relatable, and their journeys are emblematic of interpersonal, social, and political hardships that we all can relate to. There is so much to unpack and analyze. So let's do that. Let's talk about the characters. We already talked about Alana.
I don't know. Oh, did I say? Yeah, Alana and Marco. I forgot their names. My bad.
Cross lovers and the parents of Hazel. They are the main characters of this book, but they are also the closest thing Vaughn has to a self-insert. Like I mentioned earlier, Vaughn wrote this book when he had just become a father. Saga issue number 1 debuted in March of 2012. In 2026, Saga is still ongoing and on issue 72. As the years have gone by, we've seen Hazel grow up. We've witnessed the ups and downs of Marco and Alana's relationship, and we've seen how this family has grown closer in spite of all the noise and messiness surrounding them. Vaughn is a parent. He has children, he has a partner, and when you read this book, in a lot of ways, it feels like Vaughn is hinting at his own personal struggles with parenting and relationships. Maintaining a long-term partnership with someone isn't rainbows and sunshine. Partners argue, they disagree, they struggle to synergize and meet each other where they're at, and they hide parts of their lives from each other. Relationships aren't perfectly magical things that maintain with positivity 100% of the time. The relationship between Marco and...
Oh yeah, Hazel's first babysitter was a teenage dead spirit that actually lived inside of Hazel.
That's... wow.
Saga's awesome.
Alana is raw and unfiltered in how choppy their connection with each other is. But in those beautiful moments where all these things fall into place and click, you can't help but grin ear to ear when you see how infectious their love for each other truly is. And on top of all of that, they are young parents navigating life, trying to find the best ways to raise their daughter. There's so much that goes into parenting. You have to agree on communication styles. You have to adjust to the schedule of the child. You have to unlearn your own trauma in order to not bestow it onto your kid.
Also, remember, they're on the run. So stability for this kid is very, like, push and go. Some, like, the most I think they have, like, a stable environment is, like, 2 years. And yeah, there's a lot of time skips. We've seen Hazel from baby to, I believe, 13, 14.
You got to worry about providing for your kid materially, and you got to do a whole bunch of other things on top of that. Marco and Alana have to do all of that while on the run, and they're raising a child whose physiology is unknown to both of them. To Alana and Marco's knowledge, Hazel is the first of her kind. That's a lot of stress and responsibility to put onto these people, and when you read this series, you feel that pressure constantly. But perhaps what's most ingenious about framing the story of Saga through these three characters is that it offers any reader the opportunity to see themselves in these characters. A parent might see the soft and gentle compassion that Marco harbors as a clear reflection of their own status as a caretaker. Someone else might see Alana's blunt and against the grain style of communication as something that they might partake in. Or a younger reader might read the reflective narration boxes of Hazel and find that, just like her, they are self-aware yet constantly yearn for the past in a romanticized way. Saga has something for everybody, and all of the characters embody a character trait that any reader can relate to. Just a random fun fact, by the way, I found out that the character designs for Alana and Marco were made in heavy collaboration with Fiona Staples, as it was Staples who persuaded Vaughn to make Alana and Marco characters of color, which was another genius decision.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think about that. Yeah, so there are different skin tones in the wings and the horns. Yeah, I never really put it together, but yeah, Alana is very dark tone and Marco is very Asian passing. That's actually cool.
Because, yeah, dude, a lot of sci-fi stories take place in galaxies with seemingly infinite planets, and yet a lot of our favorite sci-fi protagonists tend to be white. The multifaceted nature of Saga's protagonists also continues to make the book instantly relatable. And that's not even mentioning the side characters. For example, the Will is a freelance bounty hunter who's hired to hunt down Elena, Marco, and Hazel. He is a hyper-violent, closed-off man shrouded in trauma and PTSD. He's plagued with addictions to sex and drugs, but he has love, and he yearns for that love. So much so that the memories of those he cares about haunts him in his quietest moments. Finding yourself engaging in destructive habits is something that most people can relate to. What's even more unsettling is how, when the dust settles, many people also find themselves recalling fragments of memories that made them feel good. That pungent, self-destructive ambiance of nostalgia is horrifying, but easy to romanticize. The Will's ability to embody that essence can make it easy.
The Will is such a fascinating character. It very much, without going into spoiler, the Will is very much a deep dive of a person that wants to be good, but can't get out of his own way and always makes the wrong choice.
For you to look past his appalling occupation, but then he'll do something terrible, and it hurts to see someone so broken continue the cycle by destroying the lives of everyone around him. But that is also a very relatable thing. Then you have a character like Isabel. She is the ghost of a young teenage girl who was killed during the war. Due to some plot machinations that I won't spoil, Isabel ends up getting entangled with Alana, Marco, and Hazel. Isabel is a character that can only exist in a universe like Saga. She is a lost soul who remembers the brutal conditions of the war that ended her life, and so in the afterlife, she wants to pursue opportunities that she was never able to. But the eternal pressure of her ghostly existence constantly reminds her that community makes life important just as much as experiences do. Her presence in the story is an ironic reminder to me that when you're gone and your memory fades, is it the material achievements that will define you, or is it communal bonds that allow you to live forever? Two more standout characters in this run are Upshur and Doth.
Yep, here is the gay war journalist. Very important. We do see them for the first 50 40 chapters. They never actually meet Marco and Alana, but they are wartime journalists, and they see that the horns and the wings are hiding something about this couple, and we see through them a lot of the politics and manipulation of the entertainment, and their love for each other, but also their love for giving out the truth. Like, they're very good characters.
They are journalists and also lovers. Two gay men who work together, chasing exciting stories and breaking news, while also, unfortunately, living on a planet that hates gay men. These guys, like any good journalists, chase stories with massive headlines.
That's right. Fish people are homophobic. Fuck you, fish people.
At the expense of their own safety. The pursuit of that next big story puts them on the trail of Elena, Marco, and Hazel, but simultaneously it puts them in ridiculously dangerous situations. The two main takeaways I get from these characters was first about the power of unwavering commitment. Just like Elena and Marco, Upshur and Doth are pariahs. Their love makes them a target, so they mask it, and Vaughn uses their explicitly gay relationship to provide a deeper commentary about institutionalized homophobia as a force that destroys people's lives. Upshur and Doth are an example for how even if you can mask in a heteronormative society...
Okay, I gotta point this out. I forgot about this till now. Again, there's so much. So, like the Lion Cat, this is, like, I believe it's, like, the Truth Dog or something. That's not important. What's important is the dog shoots out tranquilizer darts from his nose. God, Saga's amazing. Why? Why not?
Hiding a part of yourself from the world is a painful experience that no one deserves. The second aspect of their character arcs that stood out to me was how their pursuit of truth forces them to reckon with the notion of duty versus obligation. Is it morally acceptable to pursue a righteous objective if it puts others in danger? The answer to that question is nuanced, and so is their approach. And that's why I love them. They are a reminder that situational awareness and contextual reactions are extremely valuable skills that everyone should learn. The final character I want to briefly touch on is Petrichor. She is a prisoner...
That's her name, Petrichor. Petra's awesome.
Of war, a horned Lanphilian woman that we meet in a detention camp. She has so much hate in her heart because of the horrific state of being she's witnessed people engage in during wartime. Petrichor slowly unlearns this hate as the story progresses, but she's constantly reminded of the loss and pain she endured. It's a beautiful story about unlearning trauma by finding love, but also a stark reminder that progress isn't linear, and a misstep can lead you back down the path you started on. On top of that, Petrichor is transgender, and Vaughn approaches this topic.
Okay, so they always transgender? Because I remember the first time we meet her, and she said she was born with both. They might have retconned it. It's also been a decade since the issue she came in, so I could be wrong. But yeah, let's just go with trans.
Topic with respect and nuance. Petrichor's status as a transgender person makes her multidimensional, but it's not the sole aspect of her character that defines her. There is an intersection between her gender identity, her status as a Lanphilian, and her PTSD that makes her voice unique. Her character progression is a reminder that we as people are complex, and it's important to have grace and self-awareness when understanding how different factors can control the outcome of your life. And there are so many other fantastic characters in this book. Vaughn always finds a way to balance the fine line between distinct but also sympathetic, even with smaller side characters who might only appear in one or two issues. And at its core, that is what makes the story of Saga so impactful. It tackles a massive array of contentious social and political topics by showing those viewpoints through its...
Yeah, I can't talk about the ferret without spoilers, so I won't.
Eccentric cast of characters, but
let's just say the ferret doesn't end well.
Characters, the final thing, in my opinion,
I don't remember what he did.
A truly incredible book is the actual techniques employed by Vaughn and Staples that push the story forward. So let's talk about why Saga is a masterclass in comic book storytelling. I've read a decent amount of comics, and the one thing I notice instantly about comic book writing is the pacing of the story. Golden, Silver, and Bronze Age stories are dense. They are jam-packed with narration boxes and heavy expositional text. They can take a while to get through, but the end of each issue feels like a satisfying conclusion. One issue is one story. Jump forward to contemporary comics, and that isn't necessarily the case. Modern comic fans have coined the term writing for the trade because issues seldom feel like cohesive stories.
Yeah. So this is where we definitely see more of like the corporation side of Marvel and DC. You'll see that most stories, unless they're like big event comics, which is another thing, they have to fit a 5 to 6 issue format. And like some stories can work like that, but some stories, they get very edited down, very chopped, and it's very hard to get a good story from that. Some can make it work, some can't.
Rather, they feel like a fragment of a story that will only be completed when read in the trade paperback format when all 6 issues are collected together. Saga is a book that doesn't quite fit into either of these binaries, at least in my opinion. Like modern comics, Saga reads quickly. The dialogue is snappy and the story flows. You're not going to read through a bunch of over-expository text like you would with a Stan Lee story. However, at the same time, each issue of Saga does feel like a story because there are so many characters in this book. Individual issues can focus on the individual circumstance of characters. Every issue ends on a cliffhanger and has you hungering for more, but at the same time, those individual issues are satisfying in a vacuum. The best way I can describe it is that every issue of Saga feels like an episode of a TV show, while every oversized hardcover edition feels like a season of a TV show.
It's funny he brings that up. Saga is actually in post-production. It is actually being turned into a TV show. And,
what?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know. I don't think we have a date yet, but it's been in production for a couple
years.
It
better be animated.
I don't think it is. It's been a while since I've checked.
Oh, fuck. It's gonna probably be not good.
I don't know about that. It depends on who's on it. Modern sci-fi does look really good, by the way.
Yeah, but honestly, I think animation would have made it more freedom.
Not necessarily. It depends on the budget.
You sure?
Yes.
True on that. The budget's everything.
Animation is expensive.
So it's live action if they do it a certain way.
For something like this, it would be yes. Either way, it's going to be expensive because it's going to be a lot of moving parts.
Looking at Vaughn's history as a writer for television, I feel like this comparison isn't coincidental. Vaughn isn't the first comic book writer to make a story that feels episodic, but he is one of the best examples of how consistent pacing and episodic storytelling can elevate the reading experience. Just like television, Vaughn also uses character deaths in this book to invoke heavy emotions from the reader. But death in Saga is never cheap. Sometimes it's sudden, sometimes it's brutal, sometimes it's slow and painful, but it's always heartbreaking. In Saga, characters usually don't die because of epic heroic sacrifices. Usually you'll read a book in which the main character or a side character can say their final goodbyes to their loved ones before they save the day. That doesn't happen in Saga. Rather, in Saga, characters just die. Almost every character dies without knowing that their most recent breath was their last. It's scary and unsettling.
The best way I can describe it is if you watch Game of Thrones, it's very Game of Thrones in that way where it doesn't matter if the character's important. If the story makes sense that they're going to die, they're going to die.
And depressing, but it's also real. Death isn't predictable, and it often creeps up on you in the moments you least expect. What I also admire about Vaughn's writing is how it treats you with respect. Vaughn doesn't hold your hand and walk you through every piece of lore that he's dreamt up for his world. He chooses to instead let context clues do the talking. When characters talk to each other, they're not lore dumping. They're having real conversations that feel natural. Sometimes that conversation will mention a sci-fi concept that adds to the mythos of the world in a deeply transformative way. And sometimes those conversations will mention a concept with little to no explanation of what that concept actually is. That's my preferred style of writing. I hate it when characters go on a tangent explaining a key plot device in painstaking detail. It can often feel forced and unnatural, and that can ruin the pacing of a story. Vaughn's ability to cue the reader into important concepts while never making those explanations come across as tedious really impressed me when reading this book. But a sci-fi concept is only as cool as the art that illustrates it.
Before that, so, like, one of the things that Saga does it really well is it really does build the universe. It never feels like you are being pushed information. It does feel like you are just plopped into the world, and you slowly will learn about the galaxy. If you want something spoon-fed to you, this is not the comic. You will not learn elements of this galaxy until 50, 60 chapters. It feels like you're living in it, which is very nice.
And Fiona Staples' art is in a league of its own. Vaughn and Staples work together to make...
Okay, just for Octavia. Yeah, see? Look at this menacing cat. Lying! Lying!
I want to lick it and pet it.
Gross!
Yeah, licking's pretty weird. That's
this
weird.
World, and when
choice of words, but...
You taking the art, you really get the feeling that Staples is creating art pieces from a place of passion. That's because Vaughn centers his writing style with a collaborative spirit in mind. For example, there is a massive spaceship the protagonists use to travel. The spaceship is a tree-based vessel. The reason for that is because Vaughn spoke with Staples, and after conversing, Staples told Vaughn that she prefers creating naturalistic concepts rather than symmetrical, uniform, futuristic ones. Realizing that the protagonists would be spending a lot of time in a spaceship, Vaughn ensured that his script allowed Staples to design a spaceship that was in line with the type of design she would enjoy drawing. Decisions like that make me smile. And more importantly, they impact the work in a positive way. If an artist loves drawing a story, every issue feels like it's their best. With Staples, that is the case. Staples' digital art style is instantly recognizable. Her faces are expressive, her character designs are bold and flamboyant, but they're always rooted in a sense of realism. Staples' backgrounds are also very carefully designed, and her coloring techniques seem to be defined by having a light white hue placed on top of everything, giving her pieces a soft and naturalistic feeling. Saga is a book where Vaughn and Staples are operating at 100%, never phoning it in. The reason for that, I'm sure, is because it's a creator-owned Image comic. Staples and Vaughn own the IP to Saga outright, meaning it's their baby. Having the freedom to create art with no restrictions allows them to experiment with their own techniques while always delivering fresh and exciting stories. However, the one con I have to note about Vaughn and Staples is that they take quite a while to release issues. Issue 54 of Saga was released in 2018. While issue 55 was released in 2022. So if you binged it...
Okay, I will say though, between 54 and 55 is a big time lap, and like, so it doesn't feel like we're like left on a cliffhanger. And also, they took that break so they can do other work, which again, it's fine.
Series and you finish it and you want more, just know that sometimes the creative team takes breaks, but it's for the best. It's better to have them recharged and firing on all cylinders rather than forcing them to phone it in. What's cool about those breaks is that the characters continue to grow as real time passes. Hazel started out as a baby in issue 1, but by issue 72, she's 12 years old. As you read the book, and as these hiatuses happen, you still have the ability to grow with the family in real time. And I think that's beautiful, because at its core, Saga is about one thing: It's about the passage of time and the imperfect roads that people travel down. As human beings, imperfection is something that all of us can relate to. Saga is the book that demonstrates the nuance in those flaws, reminding you the beauty of life sometimes lies in those messy mistakes. But have y'all read Saga? What do you think of it? Let me know down below. And
I clearly did without knowing.
So yeah,
so it was.
Sorry, what did you say, Blue?
Oh, I clearly read it without knowing what it was.
Yeah, you shouldn't have read it in middle school, but you should read it now. Like, it is very, it literally is one of the best comics I have ever read. Yeah, that was fun. Thanks for checking out this video. Check me out on Twitch, SilverDFanng, 2 N's in Fang. Check me out on Twitter and Blue Sky under the same name. Also TikTok. Have a great night.